Today, I'm absolutely honored to be talking with Jayni Terry from Journey with Jayni Hypnotherapy on YouTube. Her channel currently has 84,000 subscribers, and she creates just the most wonderful and genuine content. How is your day going so far?
Oh, Sam, first of all, it's just so nice to connect with you. Thank you for the opportunity to sit with you today. And my day is going great. I mean, you're kind of at the top of my day. So I feel like I'm already on, I'm moving uphill. It's nice to connect with a new person, a soul friend, as I like to say. So it's starting out well. The sun is out. You can see behind me. It's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. So it's nice for January to just have a nice, sunny, crisp, cool day. And I'm feeling optimistic. It's a good day. Thanks for asking.
Hey, that's good to hear. And there's nothing better than some good weather, am I right?
Right. It's really, really good for the soul. Now, I know this time of year, a lot of people are in all kinds of different weather. So I know that sometimes that isn't easy. So I do appreciate when the sun shines. It helps everybody to just feel a little more uplifted. Yeah, it does.
What has it meant to you to see this growth of your channel from when you first started it up to now?
Well, there are little milestones along the way, and I can remember hitting the first 100 subscribers and how amazing that felt. And that still to this day is meaningful to me. So I do, even that 100 mattered just as much to me as hitting 84,000 yesterday. It's a really great feeling when you know that there's just growth and that what you're doing is making an impact and that there are people, even one person or 50 or 100 who say, I'd like to see more of that, or I'd like to stay connected with you. I don't think there's a better feeling than knowing that people want to spend a little more time with you. I think that's the greatest compliment you can ever have. So it's been amazing to see the growth. It's changed over the years. YouTube has all kinds of different ways that they have the algorithms working. And so, I think sometimes there can be time as a human within me, I can look at other channels and think, oh, I want to be at 100,000. I want to be at 500,000. But ultimately, that's never been really my goal. My goal has always been to grow organically and to have a community that really wants to be here, and isn't just sort of default clicking the subscribe button, but truly choosing it because it feels right for them.
I know in one of your recent videos, you mentioned the algorithm stuff, and you were
Yeah.
like talking about it. It's that's such an interesting sort of thing, and how it's always like evolving.
Yes, it is. It is. And Sam, I don't think I've even really figured out the formula, even within my own work. There are many times where I will record a video, and if I can be really honest with you, I'll think, this isn't right. I'm just going to delete it. I'll redo it tomorrow. I don't feel right about it. And then there's this little voice that says, oh, just post it. Just post it. You put all that work into it. Just post it. What is that going to hurt? And oftentimes those are the videos that go most viral or are most enjoyed, most watched, and I'll be blown away. So I've learned over the years to kind of put aside my own critical mind when it comes to my own work and just say, look, I don't know how this is going to land with others, but I'm going to place it out there and I'm just going to let it sit. And if it even touches the heart of one person, then that's a great thing. And interestingly enough, it's the ones that I don't feel maybe the best about for myself that end up being really useful for other people. And so I've had to kind of just say, hey, I got to just let it ride, and just do my best. And I think your best is always enough. I say that all the time. And I certainly, obviously, try to live that way myself. My best is enough.
For sure. And now that we've started the new year, 2026, I
Right.
wanted to ask, like when you look back at 2025, how would you describe that year for your channel and you personally as well?
That's such a great question. I think 2025 was a difficult year. Probably my most difficult year for YouTube that I've ever had. Something changed with the algorithm, and it felt like my channel was almost frozen. I just didn't really see a lot of movement. But I also believe that it was the biggest year for inner growth. with as being a content creator because I really had to push myself through the mud and the muck. I had to push myself through those days and weeks and months where I felt like, oh, I'm really, really working hard here. Some days, some months, I was doing 2 videos a week, plus a short video on the side. I was throwing myself into YouTube in 2025, Sam, and not really seeing what I thought would be the reward as far as the growth of it. My reward is getting messages from people saying that really helped me to sleep at night. I feel so much better. I'm able to have a better outlook. Those were my rewards, and absolutely those matter to me. But I certainly wondered what was going to come of my channel and would it just kind of stay sort of in that place. And at the very end of the year, in December of 2025, suddenly there was a big shift. And I don't know if it was something that I did or if I just got into the current, whatever that is. And I had a really viral video at the end of 2025. And since then, my last few videos have really done quite well. So I've sort of learned to take my hands off the wheel in some ways and just let it ride, put my heart in, and just trust. But it was certainly not an easy year, not an easy year. But I think that that's when we grow the most, right? Yeah.
What are your goals for this year, 2026?
I would love to gain more soul friends. I'd love to have a better reach. At the end of last year, when I did have that viral video, I found a lot of new soul friends, people who come in and said, "Hey, I've been on YouTube for years and years and years, and I've never seen any of your content before. I'm so glad to finally find it, and this is going to be really helpful to me." So, my hope is that this year I'm going to find more of the people who will connect with the work that I do. And ultimately, I mean, if we can just get down to the numbers, I would love to finally reach 100,000 this year. That would feel like a wonderful milestone to finally reach. So I'm just going to keep trying, keep putting it out there. And again, the number isn't for me per se, but it is, I think it's good to know that the work that I do, the heart work that I'm doing can reach as many people as possible because I certainly know this world could use a lot more heart-centered work and safe spaces for people. And I want to be that.
Let's hit that 100,000
Yeah,
mark.
I hope
That
so.
would be awesome.
I hope so. I hope so. We'll see. We're getting there, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah, and absolutely, and every like, comment, or that like hype button now, like
right.
all that stuff matters.
It sure does. And a lot of that is new and I didn't even know about the hype button until some of my subscribers mentioned it to me and said, "Oh, there's a hype button now." So this is great. I mean, any way that we can, get a little bit of a boost, by the people who enjoy the work, I think it's great that those are options now. Yeah.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Um, Now, before we get into your journey as a hypnotist and all that comes with that, I want to ask you about your journey as a trauma survivor. Uh,
Mhm.
what's that journey been like for you, as well as being able to share your story as an advocate and a motivational speaker?
Well, I would say this, Sam. I think we all come with a story. Everybody has one. And for me, my life started difficult, really difficult. I was in the foster care system. I was adopted at some point, but at about 6 years old. But it was not an easy start to life in any way. I did experience homelessness as a child. I poverty, being displaced, going to different homes, and there were some abuses along the way. And but it is so much at the heart of my work. It always has been because I do believe that you can learn something by reading about it in a textbook or obtaining a degree, but there's a whole other level of learning that only comes from human experience, from actually being in it and walking through it and surviving it. And I believe that that allows me to be the kind of healing expert that I can be. And I do a lot of inner child work. So that's largely the kind of work that I do. It comes with almost everything that people will approach me for, including sometimes something like smoking cessation. They want to quit smoking. And somehow we always end up in inner child work because the inner child is really that wounded part of us that is looking to feel safe, to be seen, to be heard. And so when I started my work as a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist, I originally started, and this has been about 14 years now of being a hypnotherapist, much more paternal because hypnosis is taught that way. Look into my eyes and I've got this little control over you. It's very paternal. And over time, within 2 to 3 years, I started to lean more maternal. Maternal in the way that I speak to others, maternal in my approach, softer, gentler. I've not only found it more hypnotic, because hypnosis allows you to trust. You trust me, you trust where I'm taking you. And so it's been really nice for people to let go and relax. But I've also found it to be the direct line to the inner child. And when we connect with that part of you, that's really where the big healing is able to fully take effect. And so, as someone who knows what an inner child wound feels like, who has also done my own work over the years to take care of my inner child, it helps me in my walk to be able to understand where people stand. When they say I've been through these horrendous things, my inner child was so very afraid. I know what that feels like. And hopefully, I can be an example that it doesn't have to run your life. It doesn't have to ruin your life. It doesn't have to deplete you or diminish you. You can rise up from the hardest things and still be a person who loves themselves, respects themselves, knows how to set boundaries, and lives the most compassionate life you can, even though you've carried a lot of hurt and maybe been so very betrayed. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Well, I think it's very admirable that you're able to take your experiences, which were very, very difficult, and you're able to take those, and turn that into a positive impact. I think that's
Mm.
very admirable.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think it helps when you go to someone who's there to support or to be a therapist or to be a healer that they know not just by a degree or higher education, but they know from a lived experience. Um, I think that's the trifecta of really finding somebody who's maybe the right person to help you walk through the hard stuff. Yeah.
Now, how you got interested in hypnosis, it's actually a pretty fascinating story. You got
Mm.
interested in it from I believe it was like participating in a sort of stage show.
Right.
Yeah, what do you
Right.
remember from that day?
I was a freshman in college, and it was orientation week, and the college had hired a hypnotist, stage hypnotist, for entertainment purposes, which I think a lot of us have seen, maybe at the summer fair or at some kind of an event. So I'd seen them here and there over the years, and in this particular show, I was called up onto the stage to be one of the subjects, I guess you could say. And I think there were about 20 of us. And little by little over time, the hypnotist tapped everyone out. They tapped the shoulders because that person was starting to come to and back to conscious awareness. And suddenly, Sam, I'm the last person on the stage. I'm the only person that hadn't come to consciously. And I was really, really, really in a very deep hypnotic trance. But I remember being aware enough to know where I was and what I was doing, but that something had really shifted. I was fascinated by that shift. I knew something really unusual was happening to me that I'd never experienced before. And it was some years later that I realized that that thing that I had experienced is a modality for therapy. And I had always known that I wanted to go into a line of work that would support others, help others through hard things. And I just thought, why not go that direction and try something that's a little unorthodox. It's outside of traditional therapy, but I knew that it was something special. And so, yeah, that experience at 18 years old is what many years later unlocked this door for me. I moved to a certain neighborhood in Los Angeles and I passed a sign on the freeway that just said HMI, College of Hypnotherapy. And I didn't even know there were such a thing as a college for hypnotherapy. And sure enough, it was the only accredited college in the country for this specific modality. And that was it.
Yeah, and the rest was history, I
The
suppose.
rest is history, as they say. Exactly.
Yeah, and you mentioned, going to the HMI College of Hypnotherapy. You studied clinical hypnotherapy there. What was your experience like going there for college?
You know, it was fascinating. And, it turns out that the owner of this College of Hypnotherapy was Florence Henderson and her husband. And Florence Henderson, if you don't know that name, she's the mother of the Brady Bunch, of the original show, The Brady Bunch. So that would only be written in Hollywood and in the hills of Los Angeles. And sure enough, and so it was so neat to just be a part of a place that had been there for many, many years and people had come through learning this modality that was so unusual and unique. And I was thrilled to be a part of something like that. And I learned a lot of things, handwriting analysis, all kinds of things that have helped me to help others in a really niche way, and it's not something that you find on every block, but I like that. I've always wanted to do things a little differently. I've always been that person. I'm just not really a fit in the box kind of girl. Never have been. But it was a really fun thing, very um an intense program for sure. I mean, I think I was there 5 nights a week, 5 days a week. I mean, it was a lot of work and then a lot of at-home work. It was intense, but I would have wanted it no other way. And this is important work, and you're dealing with people's very sensitive memories and experiences and traumas. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't just know it and learn it, but that I became an expert in it and I was very, very good at it. And that's been important to me too.
Do you remember any specific projects that you worked on during that time?
Projects. Well, I mean, there was always some sort of hands-on activities going on. I mean, we were as hypnotherapists in training, we were often in rooms, groups, or paired up, working with each other, trying different modalities and different types because there's all kinds of different induction styles. And so that depends on the type of suggestible that a person is. Some people are highly suggestible to hypnosis and others are not. And it doesn't mean that some people do it right and some people do it wrong, but a lot of the work that we did was in learning about suggestibility because, if you don't do the right induction for a person, you may not take them as deep as they can go. So that's kind of part of it. There's really it's quite a process to just get to know a person enough to know what kind of inductions work well. So that's what we spent a lot of time doing, and having other hypnotherapists that had been at this for many, many years come in and show us their methods. When everybody does it a little differently. I certainly do mine differently, and I'm glad for that. I don't ever want to be cookie cutter. So I do try to say I'm a standout hypnotherapist. I do it my way. I'm never scripted. I've never been scripted, not on YouTube, not in a live session, not for audio recordings. And so I think that's one of the ways that I really stand out. I also don't like to tell people that I have control over them because I don't feel that that's a helpful way to try to make people feel smaller or less powerful than me. That's never been anything that I'm of the opinion works when you're trying to really lift someone up and show them their power and help them feel more empowered in their life. So yeah, I took a lot from HMI, but I also made it my own, over the years.
One more question I have about HMI, like how was it being able to be there and making connections with others and when you're sharing that common interest?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I made some good friends there, and not, everybody takes a different path. Not everybody is saying, "Hey, I think I'll be a clinical hypnotherapist." I mean, it's definitely a unique career. So I met a lot of really fascinating, people, and have stayed in touch with some of them. And, in many cases, most people from HMI or other graduating hypnotherapy training or colleges don't go on to actually have full careers. They just don't. It's hard to start your own business or to establish yourself with another healing clinic. So I will say that it's rare. It's rare. A lot of them took those degrees and didn't do much with it. It's just how kind of the cookie crumbles. But for me and for some, for a small percentage, we've gone on to have full careers, and have felt very lucky to be one of them that have made it work, and I have.
Well, you certainly have. You certainly
Yeah,
have.
thank you.
How did you start creating videos for YouTube? How did that first begin?
That's such a great question, Sam. I remember back in 2015, so that was the January, I thought to myself, I think there's a lot of misconception around hypnosis, and I would love for people to understand what it really is and what it's not. And so I just put out a video. I just started a channel, and it was a lot of talking more than hypnosis, probably, in those first few videos. I was trying to just say, hey, everybody, I want to dispel those misconceptions. I want you to understand what I'm really here to do and how I can help. And then I would spend a few minutes just saying, go ahead and get into a comfortable position and let me show you, and just sort of little sample hypnosis sessions. And little by little, like I said at the early start of our conversation, I was able to achieve those first 100 subscribers. And I thought, wow, 100 people are interested in what I'm saying. Maybe I'll keep talking and I'll keep putting out these videos and see what comes of it. And as I say, I just came up on 12 years now of that. So it slowly has, it didn't take long before I realized people just really needed a place to relax, and they wanted someone to talk nicely to them. And it's not that magical. It feels magical maybe for some, especially people who haven't had that in their life. They're not used to people talking kindly to them. So, but that's why I started the channel, and that's how it began, was just sort of saying, I want you to understand this cool niche and in a way that maybe you've never had explained to you before.
When you first started the channel, did you have any idea that your channel would grow into what it's become?
No, no, not at all. I can remember hitting the 10,000 and hitting the 20,000, and I thought, well, that's that. I'm all set. I mean, that was just a thrill for me. And it kind of happens without you looking. They say that the watched pot never boils, right? So when I'm staring at the numbers, the subscriber count, and I'm watching it tick up, and then maybe someone goes down, and you tick up and down and tick up, it'll feel like an eternity. But if you look away a little, you kind of just let it ride, and a week or two or a month goes by, I look at my subscriber count, and it had just, you know, it just suddenly, overnight, it seems, it would just have these big growth spurts. And here we are at 84. So 84,000. So it's very humbling. It's very special. Every single subscriber matters so much to me. And I try to comment on every comment as much as I can, because I want them to know I care about you. You're not just a number. I really care. And if you leave a comment, I want to tell you I appreciate it and I see you. And so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something I've noticed, about you as well. Is I love how you leave a comment. You make a personal connection with each viewer, and it strengthens, the connection, the bond that you have with
Mm.
each person who's watching your content, and I think just having that personal touch, it no, it just adds to it, and it's speak and also just speaks volumes about you as a human being. Just so genuine and authentic, and that's
Oh,
it's awesome.
that's so nice, Sam. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do. I do. It matters to me that people feel like it's an authentic, genuine space. I love a lot of content creators, and again, I want to be careful here because this isn't to say it's a bad thing, but I'll notice that they'll have a brand deal and they'll start their first part of the video flashing a new mug or it's like, and I'll think, okay, cool, that's cool for them, but I get brand deals every day. I have for 12 years and I've never accepted any of them because I don't want to come off as I'm trying to be selly or gimmicky, or I don't want that to even come off, even if that isn't my intention. I really want people to just come in and feel like we're sitting down on a couch together and just talking in a safe space, and I'm holding gentle space for them to heal. And that's been the most important thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your process like when you're coming up with ideas for videos?
Mm, that's a really good one. Well, at times I'll something will happen that week and I'll feel like it's a nudge, maybe from the universe, that could be a topic or a target of healing for that week's journey, and I'll write it down. I'll just make a note of it real quick, and I'll think, oh, that's a good idea. I should maybe do something like that. But more often than not, I don't choose it until the day of, and I sit. I give myself about an hour before I start the recording, and I just sit and I think to myself, where should I go today? What does my audience need? What do my soul friends need from me today? And I kind of allow it to be an in the moment download. Because if I choose it a week ahead, a lot can change. Life events can change, world events can change, energy, all that can change. And so I really want to be as present, and I want to choose something that is as in the moment as possible. So I kind of try to connect with the energy that day, sometimes up to the very hour, before I film. And for some that might sound like, whoa, what do you mean you don't, like, where's your prep time? But I actually work better under that kind of pressure. I've always been a little bit like that, and it just works. It's just worked all these years.
Do you have any personal favorite videos that you've created?
I do. I want to think because I have 172 videos. So I would say there were some in the early days where I would offer quite a few, like it was almost like having a little healing bag that I would pull little things out, including singing or humming. I would do a little bit of that when I started to dip more into some maternal things. I don't do so much of that anymore, but I really loved sort of just sitting in front of the camera, going with the flow, a little bit of soft talking, a little bit of suggestion, a little bit of humming, a little bit of eye gazing. It kind of had a lot all at once and all very up close. I really liked the intimacy of just being close to the camera, close to the microphone. Intimacy. So any of the videos that really present like that, I love. There was one I did many years ago, and I loved the cinematography of it. I was very proud of it. And it's one where I'm sitting at a secretary desk, an old secretary desk, and I lit a candle. It was almost like I was like in the 1800s, and I'm writing with ink, with an ink pen. I'm writing a letter to my soul friends with this really nice cursive calligraphy that I know how to do. And I'm talking and I'm actually saying every word out loud as I'm writing it, which I believed would be very hypnotic. The lighting was perfect. I had a lot of fun with that one. It didn't garner a lot of views, but I think those that did view it enjoyed it. And I had a lot of fun with that. And I love the ones where I'm reading. I like that too. And that's, again, I think a lot of the misconception around hypnosis is that hypnosis is all about, ooh, snap, and you're in. Sometimes hypnosis happens in the most unexpected way. When someone is reading to you softly and gently, as a child, if anyone ever experienced that as a child, it often would put us to sleep or put us in a really Zen trance-like state. And that is hypnosis. So I have several videos where I'm reading. And again, they don't get a lot of views. And I'm always surprised at that because those that do watch them will say, these are some of my favorites. And I come back to these again and again and again. But the algorithm has never been very friendly about them. But I've loved making them. And I think there's a cool way to hypnotize people and definitely a great way to connect to their inner child.
I really like how you mentioned like the cinematography of your videos because it's something I think is so great about your content is that it's so well produced and every
Oh,
each video that you make it's just so well put together and I can tell that your heart and your effort is put in 100% in all of those videos.
oh, I appreciate you saying that, Sam. I really honestly do. Thank you for noticing it. It matters to me. I want people to know that I'm putting in the best effort I know how. And I'm a one-woman show. I didn't take any courses on how to be a content creator or how to film a YouTube video. There's still a lot of things I know I could learn. And I am always interested in that. And I will sometimes take a Saturday afternoon just to peruse YouTube content creators that are helping you to learn how to use different things like Adobe Premiere, CapCut, or I'm still learning to the best that I can. But I've also found that sometimes simplicity is more. Sometimes you don't have to get too flashy. It doesn't have to be, these flashy fonts that flow in and flow out. It doesn't have to be all of that. Sometimes it actually, I think, fits better for what I do when people just feel like it's just Jayni and she's just sitting here with me. And it's not flashy and it's not gimmicky and it feels real. And that's the most important thing. But I did get a nice camera and I've worked with Sam. I can't tell you how many microphones I've worked with. And here's the thing, if I could just say this for a moment. I have bought microphones up to $700, $800 in value. And here I am back to the Blue Yeti. It is the easiest microphone. And in some ways, I feel like it's given sometimes more of the richer, fuller sound I'm looking for. So I've used lots of different microphones, but I'm always just wanting people to feel like that the quality is there without compromising the feeling that I'm real. And, you know, if that makes sense.
As we've been talking about here, I mean, you do such a great job of connecting with your viewers and stuff. Um, in your opinion, how important is human connection, genuine human connection during these current times that we're living in?
Mm, it's of utmost importance. Brene Brown is someone that I've always enjoyed, and I have her in my little catalog of mentors. And one of the things that she says often is that it's impossible to hate up close. And I believe that that's absolutely true. And I believe that hate and ignorance often happen when people don't have that up close relationship or even just a connection, even if it's brief with a neighbor or someone at the grocery store or at the gas station who's different than they are. Someone of a different color, or someone who speaks a different language or has a unique accent, or from a different religious background, or not religious at all, or someone who's trans or gay. Um, I feel like if they just sat down in an intimate space with someone for 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour would be best if we could, and really took the time to get to know the heart of that person, they would realize that there's nothing to be afraid of and there's nothing to hate about a person just simply being different than you are. So I think more than ever, we need that human connection. More than ever, we need to sort of strip away our shields as well and these big walls that we have around us and say, this is who I am. I posted just yesterday on my community page on YouTube in support of Renee Nicole Good, her family, in support of our immigrants, in support of people around the world who are going through all kinds of terror and fear and repression in Iran and on and on. Most people engaged very positively and compassionately. And yet I had a few, I'd say 20 maybe, there or less. And they were very unhappy with the post, said they would unfollow right away. They didn't like that what I was saying or the kind of message that I was sending. But you know what's important to me, Sam? It's important more to me that I had so many say, I thought I was safe in this space. Now I know I'm really safe. I expected I was safe, and now I know I'm really safe. And I appreciate knowing which side you're on. Not side, but that you're a person that I really truly can trust. Even if one person said that to me, it's more than that's what I'm there for. And if I lost 20 or 50 people, I'm looking at the person who feels safer. And that's all that matters to me. So with no regrets, I leave the post where it is. And I said what I said, and my heart is going to be genuine and I'm going to try my best to connect people as much as I can and to encourage people to love their neighbor and love the person who's most different from you.
That is very, very well said, Janie. Very well said, and you're right. I think we could all use some more love during
Mm-hmm.
these times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, something that I think is really interesting, when I was doing research, I heard that you worked, and correct me if I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm off base here, but I heard that you worked with the Ghost Hunters, Sci-Fi Channel. What was your involvement with that?
Oh my goodness. You are right. I did. I've always had fascination with the paranormal and I've seen a lot of things. Even as a child, I definitely have one eye open to the other side. And so in my early 20s, I joined a paranormal group in San Diego, where I'm from. And Ghost Hunters was a very it was the I think the most popular paranormal show at that time on the Sci-Fi Channel, and they're East Coast. They're an East Coast paranormal group, but they were coming to Hollywood, California. They were going to be there to investigate the original Charlie Chaplin Theater, one of the homes of the Charles Manson murders. There were some things going on there, and they couldn't bring their whole crew. So they were doing an audition. They needed one more crew member to join them while they were in Hollywood. And so I went to this audition and I got chosen. And I was able to go and do these tour, these investigations with them, overnight investigations, and was able to see the whole thing, and the filming of it and all of it, the production of it, and work with the crew. And it was a really interesting thing, definitely a pin in my life that I can say, well, that was interesting. That was interesting. Um, and then I had what I fully believe is I would say a spirit, a ghost who followed me home and haunted my house for a while. And so I gave up paranormal investigating about 3 years in, I realized I might just be too much of an open, I'm an open door, I suppose, to them. So I've had to learn how to sort of keep, protect my space because they would clomb on pretty quick. And so anyway, so I don't do paranormal investigating anymore, but I enjoyed those years very much, and it definitely opened my eyes to some things that you just can't explain other than to say there is more to all of this than we know.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, having paranormal investigator on your resume, that's pretty epic, I must say.
I'm glad. Well, every once in a blue moon on a Halloween night or a I'm born on Friday the 13th during a full moon.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so, but on a Friday, so I love to celebrate a good Friday the 13th or Halloween, my favorite holiday. So I'll sometimes still go to a cemetery with friends, and I even did it this last Halloween. I still love to just do a little bit of that, but I'm careful, and it certainly isn't something I do very much anymore. But I do respect the the craft of it, and I know that there is the other side, and I deeply respect the other side, and I want to make sure that we all take care of each other on whatever side we're on.
I also saw that you have done some game show hosting. Uh,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Well, from 2001 to 2007, I worked at a resort and casino, and I was a promotional host. So if you've ever been to a casino and you see someone up on the stage giving away cars or money, or that was me. And so I would wear these Vanna White gowns, and I was up on the stage doing these big giveaways and shows. And one of the shows was basically a let's make a deal. We redid it for the casino. And Monty Hall, who's the original Let's Make a Deal host, came to the resort, and he and I did a lot of shows together, for the casino, and did Let's Make a Deal together. So um yeah, fascinating life stories and events that I treasure, and definitely have added a lot of color to my life.
Oh my gosh, that is so freaking cool. Like Monty Hall is such a legend, and Let's Make a Deal is one of one of
Yes.
my favorite game shows. I mean, I
Oh,
grew up, of course, with the Wayne Brady version.
yeah.
And
Right. Right.
love Wayne Brady. He's awesome. But
Oh, he's great. He is. He is. I many years later, I went and watched a live broadcast of Let's Make a Deal and ended up getting chosen. Now, these are two totally separate things. I mean, Wayne Brady had no idea that I ever worked with Monty Hall ever. So it was kind of a full circle thing. So I ended up on the show, and I won a jacuzzi spa. So I won that, but they don't give you a cash prize, so you either take it or leave it. And I was living in a small apartment at the time with nothing but a balcony. And I thought, where in the world am I going to put this jacuzzi tub? Well, they ended up, I didn't want to not take it. So I had them deliver it to my garage, a tiny little garage. It's obviously not a big one. I lived in an apartment. And I had this huge box storing this massive jacuzzi tub. And it took me about a year to find somebody who would buy it off of me because, I thought, what am I going to do with this thing? And anyway, I more or less ended up giving it away for free and just saying, please come, just, take it off my hands because I can't even park my car in my garage right now. I've got this huge box in there. But it was a really fun experience, and really definitely a full circle moment.
wow, that is so cool. Do you remember what your costume was when you were on the show?
Well, I was in everything rainbow. I'm a member of the LGBT community. I was there with my partner at the time. We were head to toe rainbow everything. I had a rainbow cape. I was all rainbowed out. And I had a shirt that said something about loving Wayne Brady, and that was it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That is that is wonderful. Have you been able to like watch the episodes like since then? Is it out there somewhere?
It is. I know I've seen the episode. I don't know where you'd find it online, but look if you can. It would have been in probably 2013 or 14, and it was I almost want to say it was like a couple, maybe all couples or something like that. Maybe something like that. But yeah, it's out there. If I can find it, I will certainly send it to you. But it was a really fun thing, and yeah, just a great. Now it's a long day, so when you're at these filming, these big productions, you're sitting there 8 or 9 hours, just watching. But it's always fascinating to see the back end of it, right? I don't know if you've ever been to these shows before, the game shows, but it's quite an ordeal.
Yeah, yeah, it's something on my bucket list.
Oh, you
I
should do it.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to do it. It's because
Yeah.
I'm a big game show fan, so.
Good, good. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, I'm gonna leave a link to your website in the description. But would you be able to go into detail about just real quick about the services you offer and all that's included on your website?
Sure, yeah, I'd love that. I offer all remote services. I'm pretty nomadic. I move around quite a bit, and that's been nice because, I can offer my services to anyone, whether I move to the moon or wherever I am. It doesn't matter where in the world people are. And I really realized that that was going to be the best way for me to provide my services because I'm meeting people on YouTube, and YouTube is a worldwide platform. So a lot of my soul friends that I connect with for personal services are, they're in the Netherlands, Wales, Mexico, Brazil, New Zealand, Canada. They're all around the world. So I offer custom audio recordings. I offer phone or video chat sessions like this through Zoom, or um, I offer even email emotional support. Sometimes people just need someone to write to and to kind of get some things off their chest or to get some advice. So my services range in price. I mean, that right there is just a $25 email support, or it goes up to 250 for a full 1 hour video chat session, which can also include audio recordings of the hypnotic portion so they can go back and listen and have reinforcement. So I do have lots of different service types, and I love to be there for people no matter where they are, no matter what they're going through. And those services are all able to be, ordered through my website, which is journeywithjayni.com. And I always like to make sure my name is said and spelled because it's unique. It's Jayni, no E. And so if I say it that way, hopefully people remember not to put the E on there, and it's journeywithjayni.com.
Hey, awesome, awesome. Now, last question here. What is the biggest piece of advice that you have for aspiring content creators?
Oh, that's such a great question, Sam. I will probably echo what I've said a little bit in our conversation here. I would say that it's best, I believe, to build on an organic foundation, to not buy the subscriptions, subscribers, to not go so deep into the brand deals and all of that. Because I think that people can feel it. Energy is felt. And I think that if you come from an authentic place, your audience is going to know that and they're going to feel drawn to that. In a world where there's so much gimmick and everything's so, how can I sell you this? How can I sell you that? I think we're craving just an authentic space, almost like a friend. And we want friends. We want to feel like we're really, really getting to know people and that we're really seen by them. And so I say, if you are building, keep going. And when it feels rough, I 2025 was the roughest year for me with YouTube. It certainly could have convinced me to throw my hat and say that's that. But I stuck in, and by December, something switched. And I don't know that it was me. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was just timing. Maybe it was just the current, the energy current, for my business. I'm not totally sure. But I say to just keep going at it. And if you come from a place of, I'm not here for the numbers, I'm here for, and then you fill in the blank. I want to educate people. I want to help people sleep better at night. I want to heal the inner child in other people. You know, um, I want to entertain people. I want to make them laugh. I think if we come from that place, then we're going to do just fine.
Well, that is very well said, Janie, and I must say that you have made my day of being able to
Oh,
talk with you
Sam.
today.
I'm honored. I really am. And I'm thank you so much for the time to connect and to meet you. And I am going to call you a soul friend now, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for this time with you today.